There are reasons that each of us are born. Our quest to discover those reasons. There are two greatest days of our lives. The first, the day we are born. The second, the day we discover why. Sometimes a man reaches his destiny on the road he chooses not to walk upon. How far will a belief system go for complete dominion? Sawatika, and thank you, each and every one of you, for taking the time to view my program, Shut Up and Dance. This is my 5th show in my 2nd season. Last week I introduced that we were title of public health, that I was going to do a show identifying to you, the audience, various categories that I believe are of our public health. Last week's program was on the reservoirs of knowledge in the city of Omaha, which exclusively dealt with the Omaha Public Library System, especially the Charles B. Washington Branch Library in North Omaha. Today, the title of my show is Voices. The purpose for Voices is to identify to the audience at large the talent of poets that we have here in Omaha. And as my first guest, I would like to introduce Miss Deirdre Evans, a voice that I met on my journey at the beginning. And she has seen my evolution, and this is my way to feature her as being a very integral part in my journey in the world of literature. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Miss Deirdre Evans.
Thank you, Frank. I really am honored to be here
Well,
and
thank
have
you.
this opportunity. Well, I'll just begin
Yes, ma'am.
with a difficult poem. This is a difficult poem. It won't take advice. It talks out of turn. It eats the last piece of cake you were saving for yourself and blames it on the dog. If you turn your back on it, even for an instant, this poem will stop, grab any old cliche, and smell it like a rose. This poem has limitations. It cannot bring back the dead. It squints when reading the fine print and never knows what day it is. It has a hard time getting dressed from its closet full of adjectives found in a thrift store thesaurus. This poem is a fussy eater too, and has been known to spit out green peppers. This poem has ambitions. It wants to be listed in the credits as best boy or makeup artist. It wants to be a glitter rock star with backup singers and a cute drummer. This poem would like a footnote in italics to praise its rise to fame. This poem has made an effort and hopes you notice it looks pretty. This poem is willing to go home with you. And when you write a poem, you hope there's going to be something in it that people can take home with them too. This is a poem about a yard sale that everyone tends to go to in Omaha. My sister and I run annual yard sales that are more like Turkish bazaars, because you'll find everything there, from rubber wraps to straw hats to collections of glass baby food jars. Our yard bursts with bedsteads, tools, a wedding dress hung from a tree. We'll dicker over prices, but hey, we're not going to give it away for free. Multiple family offerings load the tables with dolls, dishes, trinkets, and treasure. Take your time, look around, check it out at your leisure. There's 78 records, tapes, and 8-tracks, CDs and videos, books and paperbacks. We're letting go of our junk, releasing our possessions to be recycled. Maybe you'll have better luck with that unused exercise bicycle. And if you buy that huge, heavy entertainment center, give it a second chance. My sister and I will high five and do our celebratory victory dance. Parents, bring their children. And all children are alike, Asian, Caucasian, Hispanic, and Black. They run and fight and cling and cry and touch everything. They beg for toys tagged 50 cents, and sometimes I just give them one to see them smile and feel beneficent. I watch as a mother reaches out and lightly touches her son's shoulder. He's recently gotten taller than her, older now. He doesn't like her to make a fuss anymore. So on this perfect, windy, sunny afternoon, her hand, as delicate as an angel's sigh, brushes an indelible blessing on her son's wing bone. She is secretly stunned by his beauty and perfection. Has there ever been a boy as wonderful as he is? Ha! Does he even notice? This mother lode of mother love standing next to him. He's picking up the baseball glove and examining the stitches, but it's the swinging hair of the high school girls bending over the junk jewelry that has his attention. Years from now, will his shoulder blade thrum when temptations do come to lead him astray? Will he even remember this day? His mother's love in full flood as the sun glints through the leaves and shifts through the young girl's hair. All of them unaware of how fleeting their youth will be. Which is its own blessing, I guess. Although we all end up at yard sales, hunting down the music, the toys, that cartoon lunchbox that triggers the memories, unwinds the years, and brings back a mother's touch.
That's so beautiful.
Thank you. I remember watching that happen. It was beautiful. I wrote this poem for my Aunt Leota. Now, there is a Jewish tradition of when you visit the dead, you leave a stone on their gravestone, their tombstone. And for me, when I read this poem, this is like leaving a stone for my Aunt Leota in remembrance. If you had told my great Aunt Leota that she was a fledgling feminist, she would have been aghast. She just spoke her mind, got in your business, was a pain in the ass. Would have helped my mom go to college, but only to be a nurse, a reliable skill in case mom didn't find a man. She didn't plan on spending money for an English major so mom could write pretty verse. Fancy words didn't pay bills or butter the bread. So mom turned her down and married dad instead. Aunt Leota finally married Doc, the veterinarian, and he up and died on her. She never had a child, wouldn't even have a cat after that. Something else to break her heart. She lived alone above a downtown bar in our small town, got by on Doc's benefits, and fitted women for custom-made girdles, holding it all in. She fell off a bar stool, broke her hip bone, and that slipped her into assisted living, what everyone then called the old folks' home. I sewed gold buttons on a red cardigan to cheer her up, but someone stole it, or maybe it just disappeared, like all the years the old remember. When her dad died back in 1942, she made them dig him up again, said he was the wrong way round, feet to the headstone, and she was right.
Oh my God.
I like that one. It's interesting getting older. This is an incident. Tar truck and joggers. Big orange Tonka toy tar truck filling in potholes blocks traffic. Working behind it, the young white guy and the middle-aged black dude aren't rude, but take a moment to check out the hot blonde wearing shorts and earbuds jogging past them. But they also smile and nod at me. I too have earbuds. But her stride implies spring breezes and gathers their lingering glance. Her ponytail bobs like a robin across the lawn. Still, they smile and nod at me, trudging up the sidewalk slope. A bare-chested, finely muscled young man in tight black mid-thigh shorts and lime-accented black running shoes, but without earbuds, also runs by with athletic grace to his own inner rhythms. Not that I was looking.
Oh my God.
Okay, looking back to one of my first jobs back in Indiana. The Country Corner Cafe, a pit stop at a crossroads in the middle of soybean fields and corn rows, catered to farm families, truckers, and seed salesmen making their rounds. A neophyte waitress, tender as new corn, I might have sprouted tassels myself if I lingered too long on that hot tar parking lot, pollinated by the fecund scent of full corn stalks. Inside, the jukebox played country tunes and Linda Ronstadt's Blue Bayou. For $1.35 an hour, plus tips, I emptied and filled the dishwasher between trips to the tables with platters and plates, pumped gas, ran the cash register, swept the floor, and cleaned the public johns. Quick-like, so not to notice how nasty it was, like squashing a big fat juicy bug. Ruby the cook was my mentor. Her World War II can-do energy fueled her 3 jobs of day cook, cab driver, and selling Avon makeup on the side. She sympathized, joked, cranked out the orders, and made fun of the owner's mother, who whined how hard her life was, even though she did good, while others who sinned did well and prospered. A lesson learned. Grown men in overalls and gimme hats flirted with me, a novel experience for a skinny, flat-chested lass, more comfortable with book romances than real men with farm-hardened muscles and whisker stubble, or the more worldly seed salesmen in their worn jackets and loud ties. Who caught my eye was the school bus driver. He had a lean Steve McQueen face, and I fancied him with a secret crush. One afternoon, in my cheap white polyester uniform, washed and drip-dried each night, I stood in front of the glass door cleaning fly spots and fingerprints, blinded by the glare of the summer sun. Afterwards, I freshened my bus driver's coffee and dared to say, "Need anything else, hun?" He leaned over and whispered in my ear, "Just now I could see everything you have." Stunned, I would have quit, walked out that door, cowered in a cornfield to hide my flaming face, disgraced by the sun's attention to so much detail. But I didn't. I stayed, not so calm, and carried on. One more lesson learned. The good may suffer and sinners may prosper, but a good half-slip will block the gaze of the wandering eyes of heartless bastards. Ooh. Well, you get old enough and your parents aren't always around anymore. So this is, and not only do you lose them, but you lose where you grew up often. So this is about that. Ghosts. When I stretched my young wings, I thought I was a freed bird fleeing its small town cage, only to find out over the years that I had the genes of a homing pigeon, imprinted and programmed to return. So tonight, as most nights, I'm back home in Indiana, walking through my parents' house, taking a timely inventory. Sometimes I'm small and made to sit in the corner where the staircase starts its climb. Sometimes I do homework in front of a sitcom about a bumbling father and a wise mother. My father bumbled not, but ranted against the commies, the hippies, and the government. My mother was wise with arthritis, patient with pain. Both are 6 feet under in their burnished metal caskets, as if there were still wolves or wild dogs to rend the corpses. My father gave away his home of 60 years for a bag of magic beans, but when planted, nothing grew but grief. The house is now for sale. Still, I walk through its rooms, Lord, did they never throw anything away? The bank ripped up the hollyhocks that grew along the backyard picket fence, and also the purple clematis that climbed the front porch trellis. But there will be no denying the yellow, white, purple snowdrops that invade the front yard each spring. Well, the new owners want to yank them up like Easter dandelions. Will my father's ghost play pranks, creak the stairs to creep them out? It would be so like him. Dwayne, get back here, my mother's ghost will say. The old ladies who grew up in the house I live in now have visited and cried in every room, making me irritable, tripping over their childhood memories. Oh, Omaha, do I disturb your ghosts? Depositing my history, oh, so gently, like pigeon droppings. Surely, no one will mind.
Love that one.
Yeah. Now, this is how I met my husband. Now, that's been 25 years ago now. Well, actually, 30. We had a long courtship.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Night sky, soft gray, no stars. Humid with hints of lost youth in the air. Buzzing glow from the Merlot matches the blink of fireflies. Their insect lamps the delight dancing in the eye of God. It's all about sex, of course. The male strutting his coolest flicker. I am here. I am here. And if the female finds this enticing, she winks back. Here I am. Here I am, luring him to his destiny, short-lived as that may be. A quick beetle boinking. They are neither fly or bug, as it turns out. A genetic exchange to furnish the eggs that she'll carefully ease into the earth. That's about it for them, relationship-wise. No saving for college tuition, no dutiful larvae murmuring cottage after their demise. I remember another long ago summer night. The crowded room full of people I didn't know. All night long, I caught you looking at me, and yes, you caught me doing the same. I am here. I am here. Your eyes gave signal across the room. Here I am. Here I am. My eyes flashed back at you. The synergy of the courtship dance, no different for man and woman than these blinking beetles. You probably think that humans are more complex, our hearts more free, but maybe there's nothing to compare. All of us where we ought to be, doing what we ought to do. That night, I asked you for a ride home and sealed your destiny. So now on this hazy night, we lean together as if divinely planned. I am here, comfortably next to my here I am.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Thank you. This is more a vignette than a poem, but it was a very powerful experience for me. Sometimes the bus is supposed to be late. Yesterday at the Dodge Street bus stop downtown, right about when everyone is leaving work and waiting for a bus to take them home, mostly office buildings all around. I take the number 2, and it didn't come, and it didn't come. Waiting for the bus is a bit like waiting in an elevator. People don't stare at each other, rude to pay too much attention. So when I decided to ask a bus driver if the number 2 still stopped at that corner, I hadn't paid attention to the scruffy young man who was trying to board in front of me. Something went wrong and the driver wouldn't let him on, but I hadn't paid attention, only wanted to ask my question. Yes, the 2 was coming. It was delayed. So I stepped back and noticed the young man has sat down in the shelter and is very distressed. His hands open and close. He holds his head. He opens his backpack and takes out a pill bottle and puts it back again. He leaves the shelter, approaches me, and his eyes are so full of distress, He tries to ask me something, but I can't understand what he is saying. Did I have what? I say, I'm sorry, I can't help him. He goes over to an older man and repeats his question, but the man just shrugs no. When he comes back by me, I ask him what it is he wants, and this time he says, do you have water? He is so sad, distraught. No, I have no water. The number 2 is finally coming down the street, but I am torn. I want to stay and help this man, but it is late. There might not be another bus for an hour. He's sitting in the shelter again. I remember something. I quickly go and touch his shoulder and say, just around this building, up the incline, is a hotel. It should have a drinking fountain. And then I have to run to get my bus. As we go by, I see him trudging up to the Hilton, and I sit on the bus praying that someone there will be kind to him. I feel bad I didn't stay. But then it occurs to me that if the number 2 hadn't been a half hour late, I wouldn't have been there to help him. I hope I was his man in the field, telling Joseph where to find his brothers. I hope he is okay.
Ooh, can I trouble you for one more?
Sure. We are not the teller of stories. We are the story. We are all the stories, like water seeking a level of retelling, of resolution, of return to the ground, or the ocean, or the air. The water carrying unformed narratives back into the mother's womb, forced out after the water breaks, ready for all the storied beginnings. Once upon a time, the waters covered the earth. Once upon a time, there was a flood to cover the earth. Once upon a time, a rainbow colored the earth with forgiveness so that our stories would never end.
That is so beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, this was Miss Deirdre Evans. Thank you very much. How have we come to believe? Nebraska, we are more than agriculture. Nebraska, we are more than beef. Nebraska, we are more than football. Nebraska, the good life. Come, read us. And I want to thank each and every one of you for viewing my program, and most importantly, and especially, my sponsors, who are my life's blood.
Hot Shops,